what I'm calling the mindset. And it is us kind of setting our minds for the week to be the leaders and the people that our teams and those around us, our friends, our families, who they need us to be, and who we need to be for ourselves. And so to start off, I sort of want to acknowledge that we're all in this experience right now of dealing with the pandemic, and everyone's sort of having really unique experiences to it. I know of some people who are absolutely loving it and like thriving and getting so many projects done and like finally feeling like they have a second to breathe and like just accomplishing. And so, you know, there's definitely that side of it. And then there's the side I know of people who are really struggling and having just a hard time. I find myself kind of oscillating between those. And there are definitely times where I find myself, you know, freaking out, trying to quiet the voice in the back of my mind that's saying, you know, this will never end and this is life now, and so much of that. And so there's these truly unique experiences that everyone's having. And as leaders, you know, it's our job to kind of remember that, and to remember that our loved ones around us, our customers, the people we want to reach, our teammates, everyone is kind of experiencing this in their own way right now. And so I've been thinking a lot about how now is not really the time to push yourself super hard. You know, it may be in some ways you might really be pushing on projects that you're accomplishing, but it's a great time to be mindful of our teams and how you know, if you're suddenly working with a bunch of people who are remote, acknowledging that, you know, they're going through something and they're kind of processing this as well. And so maybe trying to perform at the level that you did pre-pandemic hitting might not be, you know, the most beneficial for you right now. And I want to acknowledge the concept that time does not equal energy. And right now, you might have all the time in the world, and you might feel the need to, I've got this time, you know, we were just talking, Mitchell and I yesterday, we're just talking about kind of the capitalistic society of, if I'm not being productive, I feel like I'm being a waste, you know, I feel like I'm wasting time, I need to be productive. And I kind of think there's a little bit of like toxic productivity that exists. But I want to acknowledge that time doesn't equal energy. And so just because you have the time to accomplish something, you need to acknowledge like whether or not you have the energy for that right now. And as leaders, we also need to acknowledge, you know, do our people have the energy right now? Are they capable? You know, is this person who I was waiting to email me back, you know, should I, you know, like judge them harshly, or like maybe acknowledge that like, oh, they're going through this right now too. And then I think there's a really important aspect within that of acknowledging our own needs and how they vary. And so there are times for myself, little extroverted human sunbeam, where I feel very social and I want to be on video and I want to be talking to my friends and I want to be, you know, trying to communicate with the outside world. And then there are also times where I'm exhausted. I've seen a lot of things, tweets and articles about people saying things like, wow, a day full of Zoom meetings is way more tiring than a day full of in-person meetings, because there's a lot of interesting reading right now about kind of the difference between a video meeting and a personal in-person meeting. One of the things being the way that we communicate with each other. It's a lot easier to kind of like quickly get an idea in an in-person meeting, whereas in Zoom, you know, you have to unmute yourself and then you talk over each other and then nobody can hear, and it's just like, whoa. Whereas if you were in person, you know, it's a little bit, so there's just differences that happen. And it's important to acknowledge within ourselves kind of where we are for that, especially as we want to be the most effective leaders. Jane said so beautifully, you know, how her leadership is really trying to model to other people and trying to like be that example. And so, you know, that's a great time where it's like, okay, I'm going to acknowledge my needs and, you know, show people that it's okay to acknowledge their needs. And so I want to kind of open up for a little bit of discussion around these concepts of, you know, time not equaling energy, sort of the experiences that people are having. But I'd like us to think about how we can tune into our own needs and consider the needs of those around us.